At age 11, I was in state custody in Connecticut, and I found a book about witches in the library there, and somehow it said to read this in the mirror backwards with a witness. So I asked one of the staff members to be a witness, and basically what it was saying is I made a deal and sold my soul to the devil at 11 years old.
Generals gathered in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Evil minds that plot destruction, sorcerer of death construction.
On December 13th, 1991, I saw the light because I died. On Friday, December 13th, 1991, I was left on my own in the Westerly Hospital like a rainbow in the dark. Here we go. Welcome to the Mind and Body Wellness channel. Today's topic, Samad's Night of Hell. Friday, December 13th, 1991. We'll be talking about psychedelics, shaman, medicine men, a little bit about history of this stuff. So, let me get adjusted here. I like to do everything raw, so there's not much editing. so you don't think I'm faking the funk. You see I'm out here in nature. Yeah, I'm not much one of Hollywood effects unless I'm doing special effects editing. But anyway, so Friday the 13th, December 1991. A hell night in the hospital, Westerly. Yeah, I was on acid. Yeah, I was 14. But leading up to December 14th or December 13th, 1991, I had done acid, I don't know, maybe 7 times, maybe more. And it didn't really, I started the end of 8th grade, 91, and then I did it, a few times leading up to December 13th, 1991. The only other time I've remotely experienced a bad issue with it up until that point was around Thanksgiving. So around the holidays, I don't know, things just started to take a turn. My experience of over, 30 years of psychedelics, I don't think there's such thing as bad acid or bad hallucinogens. I think it's bad mindset. I think it's bad mindset and bad setting. That's why it's called a controlled substance. I believe that when you feel like you're doing something illegal, it creates a state of paranoia. And I believe that there's outside forces that can feed on this also to produce a ritual or a bad setting. And I was already having a bad day. I didn't want to go to school. I was always cutting school. And I successfully snuck by the police department once again to cut school. And I don't remember how, but somehow somebody said there was some acid and that they recommended that I take 2 doses. I got into a car that had no brakes, so they were using an e-brake to stop, which also entitled fear and entangled fear. Don't worry, I'm not mentioning any names. You know what I'm saying? Some of these people, they don't just, we were all children. Nobody deserves to be mentioned. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not a fucking snitch. So either way, I'm just telling what happened to me in the hospital. That's mainly what it is. So everybody be at ease. You know what I'm saying? Regardless to who was there, we were all children. You know what I'm saying? But I was always that loner. I was always that black child. And I'm sure that if there was a cult, which there is, they singled me out as a child that was marked for sacrifice because I had nobody looking out for me. And you could do whatever. You see that burn mark right there? I mentioned in previous video I was already being abused. But by this time, I don't know. I'd already been upstate. I already did juvenile time or whatever. At age 11, I was in state custody in Connecticut, and I found a book about witches in the library there, and somehow it said to read this in the mirror backwards with a witness. So I asked one of the staff members to be a witness, and basically what it was saying is I made a deal and sold my soul to the devil at 11 years old. And I was a few months home. But so that day I ended up taking the acid, getting into the car with it was a packed car too. There was barely any room, so we were in there, all of us on acid, and we go to a friend's house in the basement, and I don't think he was on acid, but I think he was an artist and in the dark arts, and he had a dog. And I remember, you know, it was a spooky setting because it was close to Christmas and people had candles in the windows, which made it look like a old horror flick from the ancient age or whatever. And yeah, we sat there for a while, and I think he showed us some dark art, and then we left. And I didn't want to go to Mystic with the rest of the boys, so I had him drop me home. But I remember from downtown Pawcatuck to my house at Brookside Village, it seemed like it took forever. And I was always afraid that we were going to crash because a few years earlier, somebody had died on acid and went out the window. A friend of mine, you know, he was a young kid, but he was older than me, and he had died in a car accident on Route 78 in Rhode Island. So that was a fear.
What a terrible thing to lay on somebody with a head full of acid.
But we have a problem. Cash to bags. What is this? That stuff makes pure mescaline seem like ginger beer, man. Adrenochrome. Adrenochrome?
Later I learned about adrenochrome and how people feed off of the fear of children, the blood. So I went home and I went to a friend's house in the neighborhood, and I used to hang out and do acid at her house or whatever. She was older, and you know, she was always getting alcohol for us younger boys and stuff. She was having sexual relations with younger boys. So that was another issue in our neighborhood. Like, all of us were, you know, somehow, some way either witness or a part of older people's sex and children. And that was just the norm in Pawcatuck and Westerly. It didn't matter, you know, it was the norm. There was no, you know, like our children that didn't have fathers, we were prey. Us sisters that didn't have fathers, we were prey. But anyway, so I'm at her house and she puts on this country song, and I'll never forget it. It was Reba McEntire called Fancy.
Born in Glasgow in 1846, he was soon after brought to New York. He resided for several years in the United States. He was attacked by a mob outside the prom. Outside, not in the lobby. There are no witches, not really.
And the song just horrified me. I don't know, it just made me real paranoid. And then everybody started looking like devils. So I went home to my mom and I tried to play it off. And I tried to act like everything was cool. My mom was watching America's Most Wanted or something like that. It was a Friday night, whatever it was that came on Friday at that time. And my brother was there. And I told my mom I was scared that I was gonna die and that I needed to call an ambulance. And I remember telling my brother to get dressed, meaning that, you know, he had pajamas on, and that we were going to the hospital. He's like, we're already dressed. And they tried to get me to drink milk to bring it down, but it didn't bring it down. Nothing did. And then my mom and my brother, everybody started looking like devils. You know? And I just remember getting into the back of the ambulance and going for a ride to the Westerly Hospital. And again, I felt like I died on the way. I felt like I had already, the air tasted like blood, everything tasted like blood. And we get to the hospital. They try to calm me down. And I remember thinking there's a soda machine in there. Yeah, I'm tripping on acid. Yeah, all the doctors are looking evil and everything. They're trying to pin me down. Nobody can hold me down. You know, they're trying. I got super strength. I keep getting up from the bed. I keep fighting. I start seeing these things coming, trying to reach, like they're trying to pull it from my heart. And the fear just kept pumping. And I kept screaming at the top of my lungs, "Get me a Coke, get me a Coke." And the doctor said, "Somebody get him a Coke, get him a Coke." And they just started rushing me, trying to pin me down, and I just kept getting up. And I just pushed him off. Boom! I hit a doctor so hard that he fell back, and his eye turned black instantly. And then they just rushed me, and they strapped me down with these leather straps and everything. And I don't know, I went into a different zone of being tortured, of being cut, every kind of torture imaginable. I felt like I passed through the gates of hell that night. I feel like through my studies later in life about these portals and certain times and settings that I was a victim of a black mask, a ritual. You know, and I feel like everybody is in on it. Just like the movie Rosemary's Baby, Roman Polanski, who later sacrificed his wife and they blamed it on Charles Manson. But anyway, another story, another time. Yeah, that night I felt like they needed the adrenochrome from me. I hadn't had any sexual relations at the age of 14. I was still innocent, so to speak, and I felt like they preyed off of that. And I feel like they had my mom sit out in the waiting room, and they did certain things to me, and I had to uncrack this riddle in order to come out of that. And it felt like eternity, but I cracked the riddle. At that time, previously, I had given up any hip-hop or rap music. I was into rock and roll, so that's why I was with this group of friends. And the dark arts and everything, I was already well advanced into black magic and all this stuff, so I knew about it. And I feel like I was a victim. Once again, like I said, I tasted blood. I seen that there's other portals that they can use, and these doctors get away with killing people on the bed. Don't let it fool you. You know, they're into cults, the secret societies, the medical field. The symbol is two snakes around a pole, seeing eye to eye. You know, I learned all this stuff, and I've studied psychedelics, I've studied magic and rituals from that time on. And I remember hearing raps. I remember seeing myself by the pond where they had Summer Pop Festival in the Wilcox Park in Westerly. I had an earring on in my ear, and how did I get it out? I was strapped. I woke up, my earring was out. I never put another earring in that night. I never got another tattoo. Well, that's why I didn't have this tattoo. I got a tattoo shortly after from somebody that was home on a visit. But I never put another earring in because I learned that that's part of a ritual, and that when you disobey God, you can end up in a portal of hell, and those things could be torn out of you piece by piece. So that day forward, I started writing poetry. I made it out of there. I remember waking up, and I remember they asked me, do I know my name? And I didn't remember my name. They asked me if I knew where I was. I said I was in the Westerly Hospital. They asked me if I knew the date, and I said, yeah, it's Friday the 13th, 1991. And they're like, yeah, that was yesterday. It's December 14th. So those are the only things that I remembered after that. And then after, everything started coming back to me, you know, that night. And I didn't really share it with too many people because they thought I was paranoid and everything from the drugs. And I slept with my mom for, well, a couple months after that because I kept having flashbacks. I didn't touch acid for maybe 3 or 4 years after that. And I eased back into it, and I overcame that fear. I haven't had any bad trips since. I've done other psychedelics. I've done angel dust. I've done mushrooms. I've done DMT. I've done peyote, mescaline. Yeah, some of them, you get a little antsy or whatever, but you go into the woods, you come into nature, you calm down, you breathe. It's you fucking police and medics that create paranoia and fucking want to torture people. I don't need your help. I don't need your meds. You guys created this problem by fucking my family up at a young age. I took the drugs because I wanted to feel good. I felt bad. My mom was fucking wrecked. I didn't feel like I was fitting in a community that fucking called me every kind of racial name every chance they got. Yeah, there's soundtracks to hell. There are people in high places. That's why the Bible says we're not at war with flesh and blood, but spiritual wickedness in high places. Excuse me. Yeah, later I learned, after losing people and messing with angel dust, I learned the ways of a shaman. I learned the ways of psychics. I've learned that this isn't something new, that these type of things are done in the right setting and ceremonies. So what kind of ceremony did you guys set for me in Pawcatuck and Westerly to set Friday, December 13th, 1991? What gates did you open? What gates were open that year? Isn't that the same year that George Bush declared that there would be a new world order? Again, in some of my other videos, I've exposed BLM, Black Lives Matter, as being pedophiles. Their sign in Hartford, Connecticut was red and blue, which are the same symbols or the colors of the lights on police cars. I also saw that the Hartford Police was written in red, which symbolized their alliance to the Bloods. I also saw COs written in red, which also symbolizes Bloods. So I see the connection. There's certain things that you guys do that I haven't experienced because I'm not part of your clique. Why do certain people come home and abuse women from prison? Because they were abused upstate. They were raped and they don't know how to tell people. I'm only doing this to heal. I'm only where I'm at in this woods by this waterfall to heal. I'm only doing this so other people can see, what went on with me in that town of Westerly. And it's a town of coven of witches and warlocks. And some of you dumb Negroes that didn't grow up out there think, they're friendly and that I'm just bugging. Nah. And I've been to other places. I've been in the South where white people have treated me way better than any of you Northerners who claim to, be about it and about helping blacks and where the KKK should be rampant and all this and that. I have experienced worse racism in my place of birth of Westerly. I was tortured. And after I left that hospital, I went to church with my mom. I became a so-called born-again Christian. I got on my knees and asked for forgiveness. I got rid of all my rock and roll records and memorabilia. My brother was terrified. I had pictures of decapitated heads from rock and roll groups in the 80s and early 90s from the Sunset Strip. I was destroying everything in my path. I was destructive. I don't even think I smoked weed for a while after that because it made me paranoid. But then after a few months of seeing that Christianity didn't really change me, I got back into hip hop. I started listening to Tupac. He was a new rapper. I started listening to a lot of gangster rap because I was already living that life. Not because I wanted to be something that I'm not. This was something new. It was just who I was. So I eased back into the dust and the psychedelics, hanging out with my black city friends. We started smoking dust and doing stuff, mushrooms again in my later teens when I became 18. And I've studied this stuff. I've studied it in streets. I've studied it in prison. I've done it in different settings. And at the time of my previous videos, no, I wasn't doing any psychedelic drugs. I was brought to the hospital soon after posting these videos because somebody called and did a wellness check on me, and my urine came back clean except for marijuana. So what do you got to say now? Stop fucking with me. I am the Lord of all worlds. I know the psychedelic world. I know the prison world. I know the homeless world. I know the shelter world. Do you know all these worlds? No. Have you crawled through sewers at the ages 9 and 10? No. Hell is not a place, it's a state of mind. I've been there in 1991. I've cracked it. They prey off the fear of children. LSD, Lucifer, Satan, Devil, 25. LSD 25, 2 plus 5 is 7. I've conquered all those devils. It's a riddle. Hell is a riddle, and if you don't know the riddle, you can't crack it. I'm a master poet. I just never pursued the rap thing because, you know what I'm saying, nobody understood where I'm coming from. So now I'm doing these interviews and these videos to shed some light on the dark side of where I came from, Westerly, Rhode Island. And then later, it was revealed that this is a ritual time. December 14th, 2012 was Columbine. Right before the so-called, or right after the so-called, what is that called? December 12th, 2012. The Mayan prophecy, whatever. Yeah. So do your history, do the dates, just connect the dots. I'm gonna add some videos, you know, of how I was left alone. There's gonna be music to this. You know, these psychedelics are becoming legal in some states. Oregon's the first. California legalized mushrooms. Come on, man, you chased us around and made us paranoid. You know this shit is a controlled substance. That's why you did it. That's the war on drugs. I've been at war with you fuckers since the age of 7 because I was doing shit that I wasn't supposed to because I had no supervision. I'm not proud of it. I just want to be left alone. I want my life back. My life was stolen from me at age 7. I've been living a lie. You know, check out what the Mayans and the Aztecs did. Even in ancient Egypt, they embalmed the dead to preserve. The first thing that they did when they brought the ancient Africans from Africa is they robbed the graves because they didn't want us communicating with the dead. They used to line their burial tombs with gold and copper because it's a conductor. And that's why the living, we wore jewelry, you know, gold and copper, you know, to be able to communicate with these. I'm in Cherokee land right now. I'm Native American, I'm Cherokee. Look, I'm not doing this for attention. I'm gonna be out here helping to build a healing retreat. Just know that after World War II, they took Adolf Hitler's scientists and doctors and brought them to Princeton. Hitler was the first to do gene splicing. They were fascinated with twins. There was something that he loved about twins. I've got a degree in the psychedelia. I've studied Ken Kesey, electric acid Kool-Aid test. I've studied MK Ultra, mind control, Project Paperclip. The government's been fucking with us. They did it with the soldiers in Vietnam, and they did it in Korea, I believe. They wanted to know, and they did it in prison populations. All of our DNA has been altered. If you were born after 1958, your DNA has been altered. They had to end the 60s because the peace and love, that the vibration that those people of that generation were bringing was a threat. So, yeah, there's some sick places that are hidden from the general public. There's secret rooms. They get off on hurting children and they make it look crazy so that nobody will ever believe. Oh yeah, the movie Gothica with Halle Berry. Look at the license plate. It's filmed in Connecticut. What's going on in Middletown? What's going on where Long Lane used to be? What's going on in the Connecticut Valley Hospital? What are they doing behind these walls? Not everybody that goes in there is crazy. The city buildings are killing us. It's all, you know what the beast is? The beast is the electricity. The beast is the heating and energy. The beast is the telephone and the Wi-Fi. Those cords and cables, those long snakes with copper wiring, copperhead snakes. Look, there's a reason I wear these instead of a moon, because I gotta protect what I see and what I hear. And you guys are throwing crook away freedom of speech. Wise men communicate through symbols. They could be drum symbols. They could be hand signals, symbols. They create spells. That's why it's called spelling. Check my other videos on spelling. Listen, I'm not a racist. My mom, she was white, French Canadian, and Cherokee. My father, black and probably Cherokee or something too. I could give a damn about your color. I go off of your vibes and energy. And because of my experience at a young age, I know pretty quickly who's who. So if you learned something from this video, please don't be afraid to like and share, so that other people can experience something too. And this is, a place of healing where I'm at. There's going to be other shaman and medicine people coming here. We do light work, crystals. Just being out in nature, meditation. Like I said, you guys are always trying to force some kind of psych meds. And my motto is I choose meditation over medication. Yeah, I was left on my own, like a rainbow in the dark. Long before Hell Night, 1991. I was the perfect victim. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no man. Until the next time, peace and love.
We can die if we want to, but the thrill of just the chance.